So we've got some questions in his head that that I don't know. I know what they are, but I don't know what's coming out. So we're gonna have some fun here. Put you on the spot and see how your creative juices flow. Question number 1 for you. If you could have anyone's job besides your own, whose would it be?
Oh boy. Let's see. There's a couple there. If I could have anyone's job right now, honestly, if I wanted to retire comfortably, I want George Clooney's job. He runs a production company and owns a coffee company. So he runs around Italy. He makes fantastic coffee, drinks it in commercials, and then makes good quality product like that. Who could ask for more? I'm sorry, my dog, the doorbell just rang, so my dog just started barking. But yeah, I think I would want George Clooney's job. I would want to live on the Amalfi Coast and drink a lot of coffee, make some good comment, only do film when I really feel like doing it.
Yeah.
And have everyone adore me. That would be great.
You want the now part of it. You're not really sure you want the beginning part of it. All of the work and all the hours on ER and whatever it is. And Batman and Robin, come on, we cannot forget how bad that one was.
Oh, God. That was so terrible. But you know what? It was George Clooney, so we forgave him.
We forgave him in a weird way. How did he get away with that?
Yeah, it was Clooney. It's okay.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure he laughs about it as much as we do. You'd have to. All right, let's see what else we have. Describe your creative process in one word.
Chaotic.
Now, is that because of the network, or is it, or the type of work?
No, it's how I would describe how my brain works.
Okay.
When I get it, if you gave me a project, if I was going to write something or produce something, you give me a topic, I have to look at it from 20 different angles. And I write down all the words I think about when I'm writing about that topic. It's just word scramble. And that's kind of how I start to put my thoughts together, because I start to think of it from, all right, this relates to this word. It's different relationships and how I form them in my creative juices and my brain before I get it down on the paper. So to anyone else, I think it would seem very chaotic. To me, it's a little more organized that way.
Yeah.
But I do literally have like word lists and things like that I write down. Or if I get an idea while I'm talking to someone, I'll just write a sentence down and keep it somewhere and then flip through a book and go, where was that sentence? So it's a little more chaotic, because in my job, I have to be very organized in how I process things. And there's a process to how we do things. But when I'm writing and creating, it's a lot more chaos. And a little more lightning in a bottle kind of feel.
Yeah. So is that something that you actively worked to develop, or did you try other things, or like what was it like?
It's funny. It's something. I've always been a visual learner, I guess. So that's where it starts for me. I've always been a very visual learner. I have a little bit of a photographic memory, so I can look at things and remember what I saw very clearly, which is also part of my process. In my thoughts come to me in very visual ways. I also relate heavily to music. Music is a huge influence on everything I do. I listen to all different kinds of music too. To me, the key to like certain songs is the lyrics. I love certain lyricists, and words are magic to me. So, and because I'm not a word person per se, I'm a visual person. How do I make those words into pictures, and what are the pictures I want to relate to the screen? Is sort of how I've always developed. Okay. It's a little off. It's a little strange. It's not how everyone else does things, but it's okay. But that is how I do it. I would rather write, 51 scripts, and maybe one of them is the one that I decide to pitch after writing, but I'll write it 50 different ways because I want to see how it looks with this word in it. I want to see how it looks or sounds, or is it rhythmic? Is it, all encompassing? What am I visualizing when I write on that piece of paper? So it's, like I said, it's a little chaotic. It's a little thunderstormy, but it helps me find the best way to do things that I enjoy doing. And to me, it's fun. Like that's fun process to me. And I know other people are like, oh my God, all that work, but it's actually fun for me to do that. I like digging in and doing that.
I love that. So one of the questions that's in here, but I don't know if we're going to pull it out. So I'm going to ask it to you anyway. And it's about music. Mm-hmm. If you had to pick 3 albums,
oh, wow.
The rest are if you had to pick 3 albums for people to understand who you are, what 3 albums would they be?
Okay. What 3 albums would they be? Let's see. Led Zeppelin 1.
Okay.
Deftones. I'm trying to think which one I want to pick out of the Deftones because there's many of them. Probably, is it White Pony is the one that I like the best? And then what would be my third? I'm trying to go through my different genres of music I listen to. I think the third would be the soundtrack of Flash Gordon, the movie. Does that give you an encompassing view?
That's pretty cool. I mean, I think that draws quite a picture for people of what you're like,
Yeah.
That was good.
Okay.
I don't want to dive too far into that one because I know that we could go for a long time. But what we'll do is we'll put a pin in that one, and we'll come back in a few months and explore those 3 albums with you. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be a lot of fun.
I found too, a lot of the creatives, they have this link with music in a way that's powerful and personal. And I find that really fascinating. And I don't know if I'm sure there's studies that have been done on it and all of that, but I just think that there's something really cool about that link to emotion and sound and lyric, and then to the creative process and how that inspires people to create something.
Yeah. I mean, a sound, a certain sound or song can trigger a memory where you're able to visualize and smell things and feel things that you might, have forgotten about long ago. At least that is what music's to me, in that sense. So I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think being creative takes a certain amount of rhythm, which is probably why people are drawn to it. You have an interpersonal rhythm, and you want to draw people in and make them dance to that rhythm. So I think that's part of being creative as well.
I like that. You're right. There is a visual rhythm, and making them dance to it is really, that's a great way to put it. Yeah. All right. So we're still in the creative process. Here we go. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is torturous and 10 is enjoyable. Where does that creative process that you just described to us, where does that rank for you?
Probably about 7. Because like I said, even though it's slightly torturous, but I enjoy it. I'm not going to give it up. And product makes it worth it.
Do you remember as you were learning, and maybe this is goes back to college or, one of the first jobs or second job where you were learning that creative process and it was torturous? Do you remember a time like that?
Yeah. Math for me is a little torturous.
Okay.
And I think that because math sometimes breaks all rhythm is why it's torturous for me. So I will freely admit I was not a great math student in school. But most importantly, I think going back to speaking of visual learning, when I was in college and I was in film school, we had to take all-encompassing classes, from film to video. And one of them was a sound class. And our teacher, Nico, was fantastic because he understood that he was dealing with art students and visual learners. So when he talked about sound, he drew visuals and used visuals to teach us about how important sound is to film and entertainment, which, was for me the perfect way to learn, because that is how I see it. And, he would, literally draw things on a blackboard for us at times, and this was in college. But, it helped me learn and understand sound, and, learning how to mix and certain sounds blending with other sounds. And that was for me, I think, when I really learned how much of a visual person I am, was in college and sitting in classes like that, where they did actually cater to being an art student. Whereas, normal school, you kind of don't get a lot of that. It's here's your book, here's your paper, do the work.
Yeah. The impact that those instructors can have,
Mm-hmm.
it's you don't really feel it in the moment.
Exactly. I mean, my third grade teacher to this day is still my favorite teacher. Her name was Mrs. Lee, and she was an older, lovely, like little hippie lady that we all enjoyed. And the reason we loved her so much is, no matter what the lesson was for the day, at the end of the day, we always had either arts and crafts, where we got like the last hour to build with clay, color, do something visual. She wanted us to create art. Or she would do story time, where we would sit in a circle on the floor on the little magic rug. Yeah. And she would read us these great stories, like, The Thing at the Foot of the Bed, or, all these old classics that we would love to do. And she made it fun, and she acted out the scenes, and she had character voices. Other third grade classes were not doing that. Yeah. So we knew we had a special teacher. She also believed in recess, and no matter what, we got at least a half-hour recess outside every day, because she believed that you needed sunshine and fresh air to learn.
Right, outside, yeah.
Yeah. So, and it did really help break up those moments, because when you're a kid and you don't have great concentration skills, or you are a visual learner, sometimes you need other stimulus to get things going and get your brain moving. So being outside for me and getting sunshine and running around a little bit did get those creative juices flowing. And then when I had to go and do my, math times tables, I at least felt like my brain was revved up and ready to go.
Yeah.
And I like I said, it took me a long time. I was never a terrible student. I was always a very good student, but it always took me a little while to learn something my way versus the way I might learn it in a classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's an important thing to be able to understand and learn about yourself. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Shout out to Mrs. Lee. All right, we'll do one more. Just want to keep things nice and tidy here. All right. What's the last thing you watched or read that you couldn't stop thinking about?
Oh, let's see. There's a couple of them. The last thing I watched or read, well, it depends. I don't want to bring it to a dark place, because I read something the other day that deeply affected me that I was very appalled by. So I won't go into that. Let's go into something I watched or read. Dope Sick. If you have not seen Dope Sick on Hulu,
write that down.
I watched that movie, and it affected me so deeply, because the opioid crisis in this country, we all know about it. It's been in the news. The personal perspectives in that show, the performances in that show, it was just so humanizing and brought it so close to home. Now, and like, it's made me a bit of a fanatic. I look in the news now a lot to see what's happening with the Sackler family, because I was so appalled by what they did and how they manipulated the system. To me, everybody should watch that show, because you learn so much about how this country works and how things get out of hand like that. And that it's driven by greed, which is really sad. So I would pick that as something I saw that deeply affected me. as again, I don't want to go into the article I read that deeply affected me, but let's just say, with the way the world is right now, we need a lot more kindness in the world. That's one of the things I will say.
I agree with that. Bring out some love and some kindness that can.
Yes.
We're some more of that. Danya, this was excellent. We'll leave it on this. Is there anything that you want to plug? A show, an Adult Swim show? We'll give them a chance.
I'm trying to think. We have some cool stuff coming out that I've been working on. I know we have some. We announced them last year, but we have some new Aqua Teen shorts. Those are going to be great. They bring back some of the old characters you might have wondered about before and said, right. What happened to that person? So that's a lot of fun. And trying to think if there's anything else big going on that I should plug. They're gonna say, why didn't you say this? But that's probably the thing I'm going to say is safest to plug and safest to tell you all about. Yeah, to look for. There'll be more. There's more coming. I mean, Adult Swim has a ton of stuff going on, but with animation, there's just
takes time.
Yeah, and if you're interested in seeing what the shorts program looks like, we released Alabama Jackson, and that was hysterical. It was great. It was a learning experience as well as a viewer experience. You can check those out. And like I said, we'll be releasing other IP shows from Adult Swim in that same vein, and Aqua Teen is the next one coming.
There you go, folks. Some good stuff to check out coming up soon. Danya, thanks so much. This was a lot of fun. And
good. I hope so.
We'll try to do this again in person in the next few months. I think this would be a lot of fun to circle back on some of this, especially the music thing.
Oh yeah, I'll talk to you about music all day long, anytime you want.
I love it. Awesome. Until next time.
All righty. See you later. Bye.